So, hello all, welcome to Robinsive Training. It's a continued video for the course Advanced Network Exploitation Expert. Myself, Rikun Sindwad, and I will be your instructor for this entire journey. I hold over 5 years of experience in cybersecurity. I'm a red teamer at work. I also do security researcher and hold multiple CVs. Couple of articles are published over Pen Test Magazine, OSCP, OSW, and OSCP certified from Offensive Security. The course Advanced Network Exploitation Expert helps you to build core knowledge against network security and penetration testing. It is designed for everyone with the basic understanding for the cybersecurity domain, like basic networking and the basic pen testing things. An example would be anyone with the knowledge of CEH. Post completion of the course, you will able to gain core concept understanding over various topics, perform internal or external penetration testing, perform extensive network assessment, find security misconfiguration within Active Directory environment, able to do privilege escalation over Windows and Linux machines, write automation scripts, and many more to go. Please read the disclaimer before moving ahead with the course content. This will be third video for the practical approach to chain LFI to RC. In the first video, we have seen how we can use MySQL access. So basically, we tried to read a particular file that disclosed MySQL credential. We logged into MySQL credential and we managed to poison MySQL log. And in order to gain the proper working remote code execution, and this is what it is, right? At the end, we were able to execute our command, what you see here. In the second part, we have seen how MySQL access can be chained with a particular permission, that is file privilege, and that together chain with LFI in order to have a proper working RCE. Here as well, we have managed to just write a file through file permission and able to read the content of it through the LFI. And of course, LFI will going to evaluate what is given, and it just evaluated, and you see the command execution has been successfully done. Now the third part, that is what planned for today. So if you haven't watched the earlier 2 or 3 videos that are already uh, designed and explained every concept of the LFI and the basic things, so I would recommend to navigate to this particular playlist and start from beginning. It would be much better approach. So the third way to exploit this particular vulnerability would be to Apache log poisoning. Note, you have n number of ways to have a proper working RC when you have the LFI vulnerability. However, I'm just defining few of the use cases or common cases that you might find during your engagements. Now here, the third one I want to showcase is Apache log poisoning. So Apache is the web browser, web server, not the browser that you through which you access your web application, right? So your browser is a client and server would be Apache that serves HTTP as a service. Now this Apache also logs some certain values. It could be any. Now if we manage to identify the logged data and what type of data will going to be logged and everything, then we might inject something into the particular Apache log, and that may lead us to, of course, the remote code execution. So let's see everything practically, and let's navigate to the same. In the last to last video, we have seen this particular wrapper that can be utilized in order to read content of a particular file. Now, instead of reading settings.php, we will going to read configuration file for the Apache server. So let's give it a check. The default location for Apache would be /etc/apache2. There is a typo, /etc/apache2/apache.conf, or maybe apache2.conf. Perfect. Now, what you see here is base64 encoded. So what I'm gonna do, I'll put it in a particular file. So I'll create one directory here. Let's say I already have it a demo directory. So cd demo. Perfect. Now here in the demo directory, what I'm gonna do, I'll create one file. So let's say I want to create a request, or let's say response.b64, and I'll paste whatever the data or content it has. Oops. I'll fix the beginning because there were trailing space. Perfect. Now I'll going to base64 decode this particular response. What you see here, there are many comments has been added as well. But what I'm going to do, I'll just grab for and I'll remove all the comments. Perfect. Now I have a little better visual. Alongside, what I can do is I can grab for a particular word with, of course, ignoring the case sensitivity is log. Now I have this error log. It says all the error logs would be available at this particular location. That is var log apache 2 and error and log. However, this particular file is not accessible by default to any other than the root user. So if your Apache server is running on the root, then you will be able to load these files. Elsewhere, this will not going to work at all. So remember, this is really important to know and be aware with. Now let's verify what are the privileges. So I already logged into that particular victim box. I'm gonna check the permission of this particular file, and here what it says. It says other than root or admin group has no access at all. However, just for demonstration, we will going to manually add that particular permission. So I'll just gonna add chmod. I want user, not the user. I want others to have like with the plus. We can have read and execute, not the write. Let's say read and execute permission to this particular file. Also, I'll add the same permission to this particular folder. So now, if I quick check, I'll notice that this particular file is allowing other than root or administrator to having a read and execute permission. That's fair. We have some additional information. We only need read permission. However, the folder or directory only allow us to read the content when there is execute permission. For that reason, I added that. So remember. Perfect. Now, as we have added this permission, we are good to load this particular file. But let's first read what is inside, or let's just remove everything. Echo empty to this particular file. I want this particular file to be pretty much empty. So for that reason, I just created this scenario. So now this file is totally empty. Let me just show you by just using cat, and here we go. Let's try to load the same file through our LFI, and let's see if we get any error. But again, this time I'm not going to use PHP because I want my code to be evaluated and not just read the content. Perfect. I get no error means this file is accessible and I will able to read this file. Now, the next thing would be to create some errors which could be written here. So for that, the simplest way would be, let's try to access a page. Let's use curl or something. Curl HTTP, I have already added something there. So let me just http:// 10.0.0.15/ please subscribe, and let's see if this please subscribe is written to that particular file or not. We get an error saying that this page is not found. Let's see if this error has been successfully written there. And yes, the please subscribe word was successfully written over there. That's great. We can now modify this particular file. Let's move further for exploiting this particular thing. But before that, let's verify this please subscribe has been written into browser, and yes, indeed, it worked. Now the next task would be to just have our one-line shell that we have used so far, and I'll gonna just encode it with the URL encoding, because if I just use my curl and try to send this, there will be extra spatial character that will going to break entire payload. So I want to send my data safely. And for safe data transmission, the best way would be to encode your data. I have this encoded data here that we're gonna use CMD as a parameter. So let me copy, go there, and let me just paste it right there. Perfect. Now this data has been successfully written. Let's verify internally quickly. And yes, what we see, the entire PHP code has been successfully written into this particular file. That's great. So now what's the next? We will going to load this file. Of course, there is nothing written there because there is a PHP code that is being evaluated. And I'll add another parameter that is and cmd equals to whatever your command. So by just adding id, you will find this the next part is replaced with the output. If I change it to something like who am I, it will gonna work. If I change it to something like IPA, it will going to work. So I hope that makes sense to you. And yeah, that is what the plan for this particular thing. So it would be really possible there when you read this particular configuration file, you might see other location in your real world scenario. So not the default one, and the other folders that are not the default one are normally or usually allowing everyone to have read access. And if it is the case, then it would be very, very, very critical when someone identified this particular vulnerability. So yeah, this was all planned for this particular video and for this particular topic. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, navigate and try to learn more. There are so many topics that I have included for the file inclusion, LFI, Metasploit, and many other tools, honestly, with Nmap. So navigate to that, try and check out more things. If you have any suggestion, comment below. And yeah, please subscribe for so I can see my community is growing, and so I get a little motivated. So that's it, that's all. See you next time.